Hello, I'm James Cridland, the radio futurologist, and this is Radioland, my international radio trends newsletter. And this podcast is sponsored by RSS.com. More on that in a bit. This is for November the 24th, 2025. Hey, Google, when will you fix radio? Plus, ARN's compliance team. Now, it was interesting to hear the following on 4BH in Brisbane over the weekend.
Right across our River City, classic hits, 4BH, the Swedish Fab Four, ABBA, Gimme, 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 John Wayne and their tunes is the playlist this afternoon. As much of a joy for me to play it as for you to turn it up on your AM radio, DAB plus digital radio in stereo and on the Listener app. And hey Google, play Brisbane's 4BH. Look, we're working on it. We're getting lots of texts, lots of emails, lots of calls, lots of sad face emojis. We are across the issues with Google and streaming 4BH at the moment. Just know that we are onto it. The big wigs at 4BH are onto it. The big wigs at Ace Radio, in touch with Google all the time. And the latest we've had reported is it should be all back consistently online streaming from next week. But who knows? It could be back happening right now. But just keep an ear on it. In the meantime, you can turn up your AM radio, DAB plus digital radio and the Listener app.
Wow. Now, I've not heard radio stations having to broadcast apologies about their station not working on Google speakers before, but it does show what a bad state of affairs we're now in, where stations have to broadcast PSAs about the fact that they know that there are problems. Now, back in May, I covered an issue with Google speakers and live radio, but it seems all still isn't well with Google devices. Many stations stopping working after firmware first release in July had caused problems. It's an issue all over the world, not just in Australia. But Australia has a high concentration of Google speaker users after some quite heavy promotion a few years back, with Google speakers being given to virtually everybody with Telstra, the big telco. Now, if you want more detail, Radio App's FAQ is really interesting. It's a helpful list of what the app, which is run by CRA in Australia, has been told from Google about streaming issues. It looks like Google released another bad software or firmware update, which broke playback altogether on some Google speakers. Then another issue, streams would only play for 10 minutes or so before stopping and falling over. And then on November the 18th at 2 p.m, literally nothing worked on Google speakers at all in terms of the radio. Now, a broadcast radio station would fix their transmitter within hours, but Google's fix takes days to roll out. And all of this seems an astonishingly poor state of affairs. It's not the only issue with Google stuff. Something within Google was pulling my daily podcast so often it was costing me $200 in additional bandwidth. The issue was directly traceable to their infrastructure, but they just denied anything was wrong, while also not understanding the issue in the first place. I suspect it's still causing issues for others. I've just given up altogether. Now, after last week, when I mentioned ACMA's next step in regulating Kyle and Jackie O, I was curious, what is ACMA doing? And more to the point, what can they do? So I went digging into broadcast law to discover what ACMA can and can't do in a blog post, which I linked to today from the newsletter. First, apparently it's the ACMA, just like it's the FCC. So there's a learning, and I should point out that all of the Australian media have got that one wrong so far. But let's see if I can get that right. So second, I learned that the ACMA is responsible for regulating the aims of the Broadcasting Services Act 1992, which includes a requirement to place a high priority on the protection of children from exposure to programme material which may be harmful to them. And it's worthwhile remembering that 16% of KISS's audience is aged between 10 and 17. The ACMA just can't ignore this. It's written into the law that output must, quote, respect community standards. But third, the ACMA is really limited in what it can do. If this was Ofcom in the UK, they could issue a small fine or make an ad hoc requirement, like you've all got to do training over the next 2 months. But instead, the ACMA has to issue a license condition, which is a complicated legal document, and its only form of enforcement is either to suspend the license or to terminate it. That's all they can do. And those are really serious. And there's no less serious enforcement that the ACMA has any power for. Now, that's a failing in the law, I suspect, but it does explain a lot in terms of ACMA's seeming incapability of doing anything. And the answer is that they can't really do anything apart from take the station off the air. But good news, ACMA finally appear to be taking this seriously because a new job ad has appeared for Senior Content Advisor at ARN. The description says, ARN is offering a rare opportunity to join the Kyle and Jackie O Show as Senior Content Advisor, where you'll play a pivotal role in safeguarding brand equity and leading a team dedicated to ensuring broadcast compliance. Brand integrity, by the way, not brand equity. But leading a team, eh? Leading a team. A team to police what Kyle Sanderlands, who is apparently a professional broadcaster, says. I wonder how big that team is going to be. And while the broadcast compliant bit is a bit difficult, obviously brand integrity for Kyle is, of course, just talking about willies. So that bit should be easy. I do also wonder where Jackie Henderson fits into all of this. It's easy to say it's the Kyle and Jackie O Show, but from what I can see of all of the transcripts so far, Jackie never seems to initiate any of this type of talk, and you sense that she's just a bit bored of the whole thing, really. Now, not really broadcast radio, but I've been learning about Meshtastic, which is a way of sending short messages via a mesh of small, low-powered radio receivers and transmitters, which has been quite fun. I bought a little board, a Heltec 32, which is about $30 or so, Australian dollars, by the way, so that's about £2.50. Not quite, but nearly. And anyway, it can now see other Meshtastic users for around 300 kilometres around my house. Now, look, I'm not quite sure what use it is and whether I should really be using Meshtastic or Mesh Core, but still, it's a fun little thing to play with. I can see all kinds of messages going on there, so there's a thing. Something else which has gone on in Australia, the CRA has launched Audio ID, which is a new way to allow audio ad buyers to see the entire online audience of radio stations in Australia as one set of data, which means that if I listen to a little bit of Triple M and then a little bit of 4BC, the advertisers see me as the same person, allowing better frequency capping and targeting overall, which seems to be a sensible way to make radio audiences easier to buy and better to compete with Spotify or other services. It's quite neat. You should take a peek at the website. Now, an upcoming news podcast from the BBC, Asia Pacific, is being made in video, but the video will only be on YouTube and won't be on the BBC's own website, according to Pod News, which is a very good website. They released this last week. I say they, it's me, obviously. But the podcast launched last Thursday on all podcast platforms, but in spite of the BBC having a comprehensive video service on its international website, the only way to watch this new show, which is filmed twice weekly at the BBC's bureau in Singapore, will be to visit a US-owned website, which to me seems suboptimal for the UK's broadcaster. Not that they've got other things to be worrying about. And a new audio awards have been announced in Australia. The Australian Audio Awards will take place in Sydney on May the 28th. It's operated by Mumbrella, Radio Info and Radio Today. And the awards will recognise both radio and podcasts. It's a good thing. I've tried to find out whether the Australian Podcast Awards are still going. I'm not quite sure, to be honest, that I can find that out. The only thing that I really know is that, they haven't really told me too much. But there we are. I should also tell you about Zeno Media, who have a quite nice self-service ad feature now in Zeno Tools that you can make available to your advertisers, which is a very smart thing. And I have a feeling that there's something else that I should be mentioning as well, which will probably go into the newsletter because I'm not quite sure where it's gone. But there should be something exciting about... here it is. There you go. I was sent it, but the embargo was just too late for last week, so it was hiding away in my email. But anyway, if you are looking to get involved with digital radio sales, particularly, then there is a new digital sales mentorship program which you can apply to. Applications are now open through December the 12th, 2025. It's in America, as you might have already guessed. It's a year-long initiative designed to accelerate the growth and professional development of women in digital radio sales, providing one exceptional female seller or manager with personalized hands-on mentorship from an accomplished industry leader. I wonder who that's going to be. It doesn't say here. I'm assuming it's Pat Bryson. It's the usual assumption. But anyway, if you want to apply for that, then you should probably do that. It is being run by the Women in Radio group. And you can go and learn more about that. RadioMIW.com. That's mentoring and inspiring women. RadioMIW.com. So there we are. There's a thing that I nearly forgot to put in this, but I didn't. So that's good. Thank you to Radioland reader James, who is in Orlando in Florida. I recently found your podcast through YouTube, of all places. Of all places. I'm 60 and have been a big fan of everything radio since I was a kid around 9. I've been binging on your podcast and will be passing it on to my radio enthusiast friends. I should hope so. Thank you, James. And thank you to RSS.com, which is celebrating its new free podcast hosting by becoming a sponsor of the podcast version of this newsletter. That's the thing you're listening to right now. I've worked with RSS.com for a while as an advisor. They've recently launched Paid, which is an automated programmatic ad insertion tool, which turns out to be a simple way to earn money from your podcast. You've probably noticed the ads in here. Yes. And for radio companies, I think there's something coming just around the corner, which should make it really simple to include podcasts from your audio systems as well. I've probably broken an embargo there, but there we are. Yes, RSS.com, thank you so much for your kind support. Where am I speaking next? Well, James, in Orlando in Florida. I'm speaking next in Orlando, Florida. Podfest, which is towards the middle of January, January the 15th to the 18th. Can't tell you what I'm speaking about yet because, frankly, I don't know. But I'm off there, so that should be fun. And then Radio Days Europe in Riga in Latvia in March, radiodayseurope.com to buy tickets for that. The future of audio is people-powered is what I will be talking about there. By the way, podfestexpo.com is where to get tickets for Podfest. And thank you to the many supporters of this podcast, including the wrong-headed Wade Kingsley, also Meliora, Soma FM, thank you, Rusty, Radio.co, and Media Results Inc. for your kind support, along with Greg Strassel, Sam Phelps, Richard Hilton, Emma Gibbs, Jocelyn Abbey, and James Masterton, who are regular supporters as well. If you would like to support my work in any way, you can buy me a coffee. You can become a member to give regularly or just give a one-off coffee or 5. You can do that at buymeacoffee.com/James Cridland. And follow me on Mastodon on the Fediverse, James at bne.social. And if you want more details about who I am and what I do and whether I can help you further, then you'll find my website at james.cridland.net. And until next time, keep listening.